I'm going to do a tulip today. So I'm going to bring in an oval shape and then curve in one side and another side, and then an extra little bit here. So we've got two sides, nice and simple. Stem coming down, and then one big leaf coming this way, and a little leaf coming this way. It's a nice simple shape. I'm going to bring some water in to start with, all the way over. I'm going to do a nice wet in wet wash to start with. So I've got a dab of cobalt blue. I'm just going to bring that in just very loosely. So I don't want you to hit too much on the flower. You can hit the background, you can hit the leaves. This is giving tone. I've got some yellow here, and this I'm using a cadmium yellow. Very lightly. Not too much. Tiny bit just on the top. So this one is rose madder. So I want you to take it further than the tulip. You can take a little bit into the leaves. It all gives it atmosphere. This little bit of underpainting. And then I've got some sap green. So again, just dabbing into a bit of sap green. I'm going to paint that over the leaves. It can go a bit further over the stem. And then I'm going to dry that one off. So now that's nice and dry, I'm going to come in with a little bit more detail. So first of all, I'm going to come into this central bit of the tulip flower. I've just popped a little bit of water on, and then this is a magenta colour. So I'm just blowing that into the centre and just letting the watercolour do its thing. If you want a bit of shadow, then a really good colour is just a little bit of blue. So I can just pop a little bit of blue down here, just to give a little bit of shadow. It goes purpley. Just make sure that I've got enough water at the top there. So the paint's just flowing and doing its thing. I'm dabbing into a bit of yellow. I'm going to bring that down the stem here. And again, a little bit of blue. You can just choose one side to be dark, one side to be light. So if I go this side, just going to drop a little bit of that blue in and let the watercolour do its thing. So it's just going to flow across. Take a little bit of water into one of these leaves. A little bit of yellow. So I'm going to leave a tiny gap so that they don't blend through into the one that's already wet. And then a little bit of blue. Just in places. You don't have to cover the whole thing, you've got to let the paint do its thing. There's a little bit of water this side. A little bit of yellow. And leave that tiny thin gap again so that they don't blend in together. And then a little bit of blue. So this is all with a number 6 round. Get that nice and dark down here. See that tiny gap I've left so they don't blend together. Then I'm going to come on to each of these petals. A little bit of water each side, and then I'm going to use the rose madder that I used on the initial wash. You basically want 2 colours of pink if you're doing pink. Tulips come in all different colours. Again, I'm leaving that tiny gap just so they don't blend together. I want to keep these separate, I don't want them to blend. Each of these petals separate. And then into that magenta colour. Just going to hit each side and then let that paint flow. So I'm touching the edge and I'm just letting that flow into the wet paint. Have a tiny bit of blue just at the bottom edge to tie together. So I've left that to dry, and then I'm just a couple of fine details at the end that I just want to do. So I'm going to get some of that magenta. I'm going to run it just along this edge. This is just giving a little bit of sharp shadow. And just along this edge. So it's not going to blend in unless I blend it. If I just pop a little bit there. Just going to run just a wet brush just down that bit there. And a wet brush just up there. Just touch a little bit in places, just so it's not too defined. And then I've loaded my brush quite wet, and I've got a little bit of the blue on here, so that I can pop a little bit of shadow. One of these petals, leaves, and then a little bit this side. And a little bit just down the stem. Just gives everything a bit more of a sense of light if you've got a bit of sharp shadow on there. And just helps sharpen up a little bit. You don't want lots of definition, but a little bit. If you've enjoyed doing this simple tulip, I've got a couple of other tulip tutorials that are quite long and complex. If you wanted to have a watch of those with detailed backgrounds and lots more tulips, I'll pop links in the description.